MSC, or Mediterranean Shipping Company, just tried to sneak 3 cargo ships past Yemen. They were getting military escorts by Operation Prosperity Guardian. U.S. military warships as well as other warships were escorting them. Well, the Yemenis the Houthis decided to start launching missiles at them. 12 drones, 3 anti-ship ballistic missiles, and 2 cruise missiles were shot down by a number of ships, including the USS Laboon, as well as F-18s from the USS Eisenhower. Were launching interceptors to knock these things down, but one of the missiles found its mark and hit the MSC United. I keep wanting to say Unity, but it's the MSC United was hit by a missile. So they tried to sneak 3 cargo ships through with a full military escort, and they were able to get 2 of them through without damage, and 1 of them was hit by a missile. This ship, the USS United, we mentioned this before, but it was headed from Saudi Arabia to Pakistan. And that's definitely not headed towards Israel. I don't care if you're using Arabic math or Muslim math. That doesn't work. That's the opposite direction, though they say that was headed to Israel. So the United States is having a big problem with Operation Prosperity Guardian. We're trying to sucker in cargo ship companies to allow us to use them as cannon fodder. If you're not familiar with the phrase cannon fodder, it's basically, fodder means feed. And so, well, cannons need to eat something, and if you want to be cannon fodder, you just run up towards that machine gun nest up there, and that's basically what it's the old joke that's what we do with people and soldiers, is they are cannon fodder. If they're told on to go forward on a suicidal type mission, they're going to just overwhelm. They're going to run out of bullets or something like that. Well, that's what's happening with with cargo ships out there. They're being told, yeah, it's safe to go past Yemen, and MSC was like, the Mediterranean Shipping Company was like, it's Swiss owned. They're like, okay, we believe you. Okay, you're going to give us military escorts? Let's do it. And one of their ships gets hit by a missile. So Operation Prosperity Guardian Take 1 is a not success. And that's one of the real challenges of this whole thing, is that you have these guys launching dozens of drones and missiles and stuff like that, and they only have to get lucky once. They just have to get hit one ship once, and they win. Whereas the United States and its allies trying to protect these ships going through have to be right every single time. We're firing SM-3s, SM-6s. These are missiles that come off the destroyers, like the USS Laboon, and that is an Arleigh Burke class destroyer. It is a older model, so it only has 90 cells, 90 missile cells. They have the vertical launch tubes in them, and then they just they can't load those things, right? You can't load those things at sea. You can do it in a harbor, and if you have a specialty resupply ship, they can apparently do that on the ocean, but the ship itself doesn't have a crane that can actually load those tubes. So they have 90 missiles per ship, and that in the most optimistic fashion will say that every single one of them is a interceptor missile. There's only so many missiles to go around. And we've already heard that there's actually a shortage of interceptors. So the SM-3s, if they have to use one of those things, they're $12 million a piece. Now, they weren't firing those things at drones. Those things are anti-ballistic missile. But we heard that 3 anti-ship ballistic missiles were fired, so they probably had to be intercepted by SM-3s. So $12 million, $12 million, that was the fastest $36 million volley that was ever fired, I imagine. Now, for the cruise missiles and that type of thing and drones, they can use the $4 million SM-6s. Now, they also have another interceptor that's not actually an interceptor in the sense of taking out missiles. It's more designed to take out aircraft, and it also works on drones. Those are more like $1 million a piece, whereas if they had to use any of the SM-6s, that's $4 million a piece. No word on what the F-18s might use. They might be using just air-to-air missiles, but those things run about $1 million a piece too. So the Houthis are sitting there assembling $10,000, $15,000 drones and firing them off at our ships and at cargo ships, and we're firing off $1 million missiles at the least to shoot them down. You see a problem with that? Anyone mathing that out and going, that's not going to work out in the long term. We're firing missiles that are 1,000 times more expensive than the things that we're shooting down. Think that through. Think that one through. That's not going to continue to work. And what happens if they actually hit a U.S. ship, U.S. cargo, U.S. military ship, or a U.S. resupply ship? What happens then? Just put this in perspective. We have 24 littoral combat ships that we built. Now, littoral means basically the coastal area, you know, that goes out into the ocean a little bit, and then like it goes inland a little bit. Okay, so it's meant to fight along the coast. It's made to shoot onto land a little bit. So like if you're an island, then like the whole thing's littoral. Okay, not literal, littoral. Okay, and the idea is they built these ships so that they can fight on islands, around islands, and in brown water. So not like deep water, blue water Navy, which is, you know, like our carriers and stuff like that. These are ships that are designed to kind of fight in shallow water, off the coast, around reefs that are maneuverable. They can do stuff, but they only have 11 missile bays on them. And so we've decided that these 24 littoral combat ships are not tough enough, are not defended enough to actually enter into this war zone around Yemen. So in this littoral fight, like exactly what they're designed for, we can't bring our littoral combat ships in. It's too dangerous for them. These are a bunch of guys and gals over there assembling missiles or receiving missiles from Iran, and then yeeting at them at people. That's a what is that, a Gen Z word? Yeet means to throw. When you start yeeting stuff at people, it's like you're kind of throwing it, but you're not really like caring how you throw it, kind of thing, right? That's what they're doing. They're just sitting there. Throwing these missiles and drones and whatever else they happen to have that's not bolted down at anything that's floating by. This is not something that we should be outmatched at, and yet this is exactly where we are. We're in a losing fight here because we're putting ourselves in a position where we can't win. How do you win this? Iran just loves this. Iran loves this. They're just giving their missiles and drones to the Houthis, and the Houthis are just turning the world upside down on its head. What's the consequence here for Iran? Iran's going around stirring up trouble everywhere in the world, just like the United States tends to do, and Iran has no consequences. Generally speaking, Iran's not putting their troops on the ground. In Syria, they're putting their troops on the ground. In Iraq, they're putting their troops on the ground. But a lot of those are local militias that have been drawn up. So they might have Iranian Revolutionary Guard trainers. This is exactly what the United States has done all across Africa. And Iran's looking at it and going, that's a pretty good model. And then what the United States is doing over in Eastern Europe, well, we're not fighting the war. We're just giving the weapons to them so they can protect themselves. That's exactly what Iran's doing to Yemen. I mean, hypocrisy, right? This is a new word that is starting to be kicked around, is that the stuff that the United States has been doing all over the place, now Iran's like, well, we're going to do that too. And China is quietly doing that as well. That's why I talked yesterday about what was going on in Algeria. What's going on in Algeria? Because China is selling and giving these weapons over to Algeria. And Russia's doing the same thing. They're building up a weapons platform out there in the Western Mediterranean. And this is going to cause us a lot of grief out there. So there's been this tit for tat going on against Iran. Some spontaneous combustion is happening in Iran. They've had 2 refineries go up in the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, one of their refineries burst into flames. A week ago, another refinery burst into flames. Over the last week, we've also had one of their ammo factories just decided to spontaneously combust. And a missile factory also caught fire as well. How could this happen? We don't know. But probably we could start pointing the finger either at Israel or the United States. But generally speaking, there is consequences going on in the shadow realm out there. But we also saw that 150,000 Israelis lost power on Christmas. Now, rumors started going around that this was a cyber attack, maybe from Iran or someone else. But Israel's come out and said, no, it was definitely not a cyber attack. 2 power plants were knocked offline. So what was the reason for this power blackout? If it wasn't a cyber attack, well, they don't know what the reason was. You got to love that, right? It's like, no, it wasn't a cyber attack. So what was the reason? We don't know what the reason was. So you're saying it could have been a cyber attack, you just don't know yet. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying it definitely was not a cyber attack. Sure, guys. It doesn't make sense, but you can't... Anyway, it doesn't make sense. So MSC is tried running their 3 ships past Yemen, and Maersk has agreed to be guinea pigs on the next round. So we're going to see what happens when Maersk tries to bring their cargo ships past Yemen with military escorts, and it's going to be... It's like a World War II convoy duty to get through here. Instead of submarines, we're talking about missiles and drones. And like I said, the amount of money that is going here just to shoot down these missiles that come out. We're not attacking the launchers. We're not attacking the people launching the launchers. We're just shooting down the missiles. And this is completely unsustainable. We're spending billions and billions of dollars to bring democracy to the Red Sea, apparently. And if the fish won't vote, we're gonna make them vote. We're gonna teach them to vote. We're gonna teach them to vote and to have drug companies come in and spend money advertising so that they can, so they too can have democracy, right? So we got no reason why Iran would not continue doing what it's doing and expanding this. I expect to see Nigeria pop off. I'm sorry, I keep saying Nigeria. Algeria pop off. Nigeria is a whole nother thing. Nigeria, we had 160 people, Christians were killed in a spat of Muslim attacks against Christians on Christmas Eve. And 300 more were wounded and went to seek medical attention. This was 20 separate villages were attacked by Muslim militias to just basically genocide against Christians all across the area. Absolutely crazy. We have so much going on out there in the world. We need to keep abreast of what's going on. The United States is neck deep in all this, and nobody else wants to be a part of this. Australia is like, no, we don't want to be a part of that. France is like, nope, we don't want to participate. Italy's like, not us. We got very few friends out there that are willing to stick their neck out there, and that the United States needs to stick its neck out every single time for every single people. How the Red Sea is going to impact the United States? Well, you got me. But the United States needs to. If we're going to be the world's policeman, we got to go and police everywhere. And we put ourselves in this position, and everyone else realizes it's stupid and they don't want to be a part of it. The only couple people that actually are still playing ball with us are like the Canadians and the UK. There's only a couple countries out there that are willing to keep doing this because it's just they realize that this is not a good strategy. sitting there and waiting to get shot at and then shooting down the missiles is not a good strategy. We realize that. If you want to stand in front of a axe throwing competition and have them throw axes at you and you deflect them, you'd realize that that's kind of unsafe, an unsafe thing to do. And yet that's what we're putting our ships in line to do. And how long are they going to do this for? How many years are we going to do this for? Are we going to run out of interceptors? Quite possibly. We do not produce nearly enough of them to continue running through them like we are. All right, friends, just want to bring that information to you. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report.